No.
I just say trigger warning.
Yeah.
This may be traumatic to you. What do you start thinking about?
Every fucking trauma that I've been through.
So now,
This shit was not even about me.
No.
It was about a kid getting hurt.
So it's all about trigger warning.
Trigger warnings fail to help and may even harm.
Yep.
APS, Association for Psychological Science. So what it says is really interesting. So a few studies that were done. For some, traumatic events leave deep psychological scars that can resurface many years later as renewed emotional pain or unwanted memories. In an effort to spare survivors reminders of past trauma, some institutions and individuals provide so-called trigger warnings, alerts that upcoming program or text may contain unsettling content. Recently, however, a growing body of research has called into question the effectiveness of trigger warnings. A new study published in the Journal of Clinical Psychological Science shines additional light on this ongoing debate and finds that trigger warnings offer little to no help in avoiding painful memories and perhaps are even harmful to the survivors of past emotional trauma.
I don't want people around me to be afraid how they want to talk or hug their moms or be nice to their moms because I lost my mom at 6 years old. So the fact that I have to be assertive about the whole situation around me, to be aware, oh no, what just happened? You're reminding yourself what the heck is going on. That's the only reason I'm happy I did not go to a psychologist for the trauma of my kid. In the 80s, we didn't do that. You had to grow through it. When you realize that you're the only one responsible for how you react to your pain, life is so much easier. It's amazing.
Researchers discovered that trigger warnings seem to increase the extent to which people see trauma as essential to their identity.
I said it!
Which can worsen their impact of post-traumatic stress disorder in the long run.
Yep.
Here's a study. Jones and his colleagues conducted a randomized experiment among two groups of people who had experienced a serious trauma in the past.
This is gonna be good. These experiments is, oh yeah.
Both groups read a series of literature passages. One group received trigger warnings prior to distressing passages, while the other did not. Participants rated their emotions after reading each passage and also completed a series of questionnaires at the end. Ooh. Overall, the researchers found that little statistical differences in the reactions of both groups. Neither seemed to be spared emotional impact of reading the text. Whether trigger warnings are explicitly harmful was less clear, though Jones and his colleagues did find that evidence that trigger warnings increased the belief that their trauma is an essential part of a survivor's life story, which research has shown is counter-therapeutic. So essentially what they're saying is, let's say we're having discussions, and you give a trigger warning, then they're transported right back to their trauma before the conversation has even happened. And therefore, any conversation that they have as a result is filtered through that lens. So of course, you're going to be more important. It's like saying, black people, just letting you know, we're going to be discussing this topic. So now I'm being reminded of my racial identity, or I'm being reminded of my Ethiopianness if you keep mentioning it before every time.
That's counterproductive.
Exactly. So it's important to know this stuff because we've adopted a lot of new policies, a lot of new ideas without actually knowing whether or not they work or they're efficient. They sound great in theory. In theory, it sounds good to let people know beforehand that something triggering may be coming. The problem is
you can't do it always. If my son runs and he falls, I can't always be like, you're gonna fall, you're gonna fall, you're gonna fall, you're gonna fall. You know why? You know why? You know why? The thing is, how many times somebody told you to not do something and you try to appease this person, and by that own definition, you did something so stupid and you fell anyway. And that person that was warning you is gonna be like, I told you so. Loophole of that.
Found that it actually makes things worse. So now we have to rethink these things. And this is what happens when you're quick to want to make change because people are suffering. Understand, people are suffering. We need to improve things. But how you improve things matters just as much as the intent. You understand what I'm saying? Right? Like, you can want to help somebody. You just reach for the nearest pot. You throw it on them because you think it's cold water. Bitch, it's oil. They're dead. You feel me? Now, with these trigger warnings, we've convinced people that their trauma, their terrible experiences, is who they are.
This was my lens. I was a momless boy, and I had to survive in a world where I was not allowed to talk about my mom, feel weak because I don't have a mom, because I'm a strong man. And all the emotion they threw at me, even if it was negative or undeserved, I should withstand it to prove that I was a strong person. And I withstood it. And for a long time it was good. because everything that was bad with me, I blamed myself and I improved myself. Is it fair? No. Is it a gangster lens? Yes. But it kind of worked. But I never blamed other people in that lens. That was my lens. I considered everything my fault and I had to improve it. So the lens isn't bad if you're improving. But the lens is very bad if you're looking for everything when people are judging you. That's horrible. If you had my lens, which I think is a trauma though, for a very long time, I couldn't even imagine when you're gonna be like, what? You used wrong pronouns? Ah, man. No wonder some of these people are so sad. Super sad. And I'm responsible for that too? Come on, man. I'm glad I'm black because it seems that I'm just being white, I may trigger some people too.
Maybe this is not sensible. Maybe I'm not doing everyone a service. And also for the people who expect trigger warnings, also understand maybe this is not having the intended effect that I wanted it to. And I need to stop asking for them all the time. I still think it's appropriate for some topics because then if the person wants to, they can just leave.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to give a trigger warning if I'm showing something graphic or whatever. You can choose to opt out. But what's important to note is that trigger warning doesn't soften the blow of whatever it is you're about to witness.
No, it doesn't soften the blow, but I believe that the trigger warning is really just for me. It's not for you, it's for me. Trigger warning. Oh my God! Hey! I warned. Hey!
There you go. That's good.
Fucking warned you. It's your business if you hear. That was a lot.
Cover your ass.
Cover my ass.
I think most professors do it for that reason.
It's really to cover my ass. Trigger warning.
Yeah, but when the professor says, hey, trigger warning, everybody's like, let's play this game. Let's see which words you're gonna use, you white male. Come on, man. I mean, for certain people, it's just a narcissistic event for them to prove they are right. I don't have time for that.
So this is another. Hey! Shut up! I warned you. You stayed.
You know, the problem with that is in a society built on empathy and understanding victims, even that may not be enough.
I understand.
Over half of professors say they use trigger warnings right now. Over the past decade, there's been extensive debate on the appropriateness of trigger warnings, particularly in an academic environment where they have been accused of promoting censorship. Other critics have suggested that trigger warnings may create an unrealistic bubble free from negative thoughts, which can prepare students for life beyond academia.
I said it about my lens. They have a different lens instead about those negative things. I blamed myself to go forward. They blamed you to go forward.
Do you mean safe space?
Yes. I have a friend of mine who teaches at a really prestigious school.
Okay.
Really, really close. One thing that she encounters a lot, she gave like reading assignments to her students. So one of them involved like Japanese history before the like last 200 years. And the students, like some of them complained. And she's like, what do you guys complain about? She's like, there's some like really disgusting stuff that happened. And they complained and they got upset. So she scrapped that section. But in my head, I'm thinking like, how can you ever internalize what's happened throughout history if you're not going to accept that there's some darkness out there?
Yeah.
I mean, the mere fact that you get to say trigger warning is proof of the progress we've made and the privilege that you're living.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
That's a
You
good
need to understand
point.
what was there before. That's what history is. You know what I'm saying? So it affects people academically in the workplace as well.
That's like me can't talk about my mom in the past and how I grew over it. But somebody's like, yeah, trigger warning. I don't have a mom. I'm still sad. But that's you. Why do you want to be the example of somebody with a mom, but you don't want to talk about your past? But one that conquers his past is not allowed to talk about it. That doesn't make any freaking sense. I don't even want my kids to be around you. Because what you're teaching my kids is that the world is freaking beautiful. And when he cries or something happens, I have to be empathetic and hug him. No! I will kick him if he's crying on the street and the car is gonna come by and smash him. And when he walks up, I'm like, what, Papa? Why did you kick me? I'm like, well, you were crying on the street. I needed to save you. And you just focusing on your empathy because you hope somebody is gonna hug you. When I'm not ready to hug you because I saved myself in a different way. I'm trying to educate you in a very honest way how life is. But I don't want you to be in a bubble. That's all I'm saying.
Workplace as well.
I don't want to work in a freaking as a history teacher. All right, class.
I'd probably hand you a gun so you could just fire it off.
You know what's kind of weird? We are teaching kids at school right now all the culture and all the Indians that the European people have killed. English, Spanish, Portuguese, French. We learn all those names in a culture from Curacao where we teach that to kids. And we ask, why are they so bad? They did this for this and that. They thought it was cool, but they did some horrible things, and this is this, and that's why we have to be respectful. And it's a beautiful thing in my country. I respect that. So if I go to tell a Dutch person right now on Curacao this and this and that, they're gonna be like, it's not me. If I tell them, hey, you have money, you're comfortable, your mom is rich, and it's like, hey, it's not my fault my parents are still married. What's wrong with you? Are your parents married? A bunch of single mothers over there. That's not my fault. Most Dutch people, they're still with a woman or men, but they're still together. They're consistent. I don't know why they do it, but if that helps them to keep the money, even if they don't like each other, amen. It's not my fault or their fault. It's just reality.
A gun so you could just fire it off.
They were... Fuck. They were gonna talk about people that were...
Can you describe their bodily functions?
Jesus Christ.
People that can or can't get pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
No, because if I say people that can get pregnant, how did they get pregnant? And I'm fucked.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Trigger warning. And he just went off himself.
What are your thoughts?
I just want to cover my ass.
Yeah.
That's really that. That's why I've been doing this. I'm not thinking about all of that. I'm thinking about them. I'm going to go through the story. Trigger warning. Okay, you're warned. There's going to be some fucked up shit. And after that. But yeah, it's very interesting the fact that what you said about we are telling them that they are that trauma for the rest of their life. It's exactly what we're doing. So we can't remind them of anything that's around that because it reminds them of what happened and who they are. So yeah.
Imagine we start this video and all I say is trigger warnings. No title, no nothing.
No.
I just say trigger warning.
Yeah.
This may be traumatic to you. What do you start thinking about?
Every fucking trauma that I've been through.
So no,
And imagine this shit was not even about me.
No.
It was about a kid getting hurt. Which
Yes.
is funny. And it has nothing.
But
And
you
then
know what
I'm
saying?
triggered.
Right, because you're like, well, what do I have to be triggered about? What can I be triggered? And so you start to think about the trigger shit that you had.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I didn't think about that in that way, of course. That's like when I go to a weird neighborhood and somebody tells me, hey, remember, these people are just a little different. You know, what you're gonna think? What, they're gonna be rapists? They like black people, they wanna funky me? What the heck is happening? What happened? I don't know, you know? It's like you become very defensive for a very stupid suggestion that is sometimes very unnecessarily. I mean, I think you can be more tactful with that. Like, hey guys, we're going to talk about some sensitive subject. We know the past has been very gangster in history, you know, but slowly we're going to talk about it. Not because we want to glorify it, but we want to learn where we're coming from. And we just want to focus on getting the right information out there. What we have to do to prevent what happened to us in the past. If a teacher says that and you become triggered, dude, get a therapist. Like I keep saying.
Yeah.
Right?
And when it was not even about me. That's crazy.
It's like when people start a sentence and say, I don't want to be racist. You immediately go like, this is going to be the most shit I heard all week.
Yes.
So, anyways, I think...
my buddy Eddie King says in the comedy bit, it's like, whenever someone says, I'm not racist, but it's never like, I'm not racist, but I hate cookies. It's never that.
No.
It's never that. It's really, you're about to go in.
Yeah.
You're about to, and
How
I'm
do
thinking,
black people's noses suck up so much oxygen? No, I'm just curious. And when you use a spoon, how do you stop yourself from swallowing the whole thing with your big lips?
I'm not, but.
Yes.
Oh, man. So let me know what your guys' thoughts is on this whole freaking situation. I thought it was kind of interesting, but it did make me realize that trigger warning, it's not that you say it and you write specific words like they did the test. It's more like how they perceive the information. So it's not the words that you're using. It's just the fact that the moment you said, this is going to happen, whatever word is going to come in, you're gonna filter it through the wrong lens. That can affect your life forever. And certain people, their identity is finding trigger warnings. And if you're one of these peoples, I'm gonna pray for you. That's all I can say. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about the whole situation. It was a very interesting video. I think I'm gonna do more of these reaction videos when they talk about this stuff. Okay? Anyway, peace.
Don't get me wrong, makosa kita bong. Put the fire na mi blonde, kush, hash, purple, skunk, criollo, colombici, jam, jam, turloqueta, verdeta, welcome. Tem vida mi a tu iniciativa, padrei ku indica, itabe que sung sativa. Te hinda no que acepta ku eta medicina, pop di nang di eta causa rebeldia, cooking.